My name is Rachel Whitmore. I'm 35 years old, and until recently, I believed I understood what fragility meant. I thought it was about sickness, accidents, loss you could point to and name. I didn't understand how delicate a life could be until the person I loved spoke about me as if I weren't even in the room, as if I weren't even real. It happened because of a sentence that was never meant for me to hear. One careless sentence, one unguarded laugh. She's too trusting to ever suspect anything. I could cheat right in front of her, and she'd still believe me. The words themselves were cruel, but it wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it, light, almost amused, like he was talking about the weather or an inside joke I wasn't part of. His voice was calm, confident, completely unashamed. That tone did more damage than the sentence ever could, because it told me this wasn't a slip, it wasn't a mistake, it was a belief. Evan Mercer and I had been together for 2 years. 2 years of routines so ordinary they felt safe. Shared grocery lists stuck to the fridge with a magnet from a vacation we never quite took. Sunday mornings that started with coffee and ended with plans that felt permanent simply because we kept repeating them. It was the kind of intimacy that grows quietly, without fireworks, until one day you realize you're arranging your future around someone without even noticing when you started. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party, one of those loud, cramped apartments where conversations overlap. Music is too loud, and everyone's trying to seem happier than they actually are. Evan made me laugh within 5 minutes. Not performative laughter, not polite laughter, real laughter that surprised me. I remember thinking how easy he felt, how natural it was to talk to him, like something familiar clicking into place. From the outside, we looked solid, reliable, the couple people expected to last, and I trusted him, not blindly, not stupidly. I trusted him because, for 2 years, he gave me no reason not to, until that Friday night. We had plans to meet at a new Thai restaurant downtown at 7. I arrived early, like I always did, 6:40 on the dot. I liked arriving first, choosing the table, letting myself settle into the moment before someone else arrived and shaped it. I picked a small table near the window and texted Evan to let him know. He replied that he was running late, 15 minutes. Maybe 20. At 6:50, I excused myself to use the restroom. The restaurant had an odd layout. The hallway to the bathrooms passed a small private dining area, separated by a decorative half wall with geometric cutouts. It was meant to feel intimate, exclusive. I didn't mean to listen. I heard his voice before I even registered what was happening. Distinct, familiar, unmistakable. I slowed, then I stopped. Evan was sitting in the private area with Lauren, a woman he'd known for years, a friend, he'd said, someone from before me. I could see them through the cutouts in the wall, their bodies angled toward each other, their laughter easy. They couldn't see me. I'm just saying Rachel's great, Lauren said, but don't you feel guilty sometimes, with me? The words hit me like a drop straight through my stomach, sudden, disorienting. I felt dizzy. Evan laughed. Not nervously, not defensively, confidently. Guilty? He said. Why would I? She's too trusting to ever suspect anything. I could cheat right in front of her, and she'd still believe me. Lauren laughed too. That's awful, she said, but there was no real judgment in her voice, just curiosity, comfort. It's practical, Evan replied. Rachel's stable, reliable. She listens, she plans. You're fun. Why would I choose when I don't have to? What if she finds out? She won't, he said easily. Rachel sees the best in people. It's actually kind of sad how predictable she is. I stood there for maybe 10 seconds, or maybe 10 years. Time didn't behave normally in that moment. I didn't cry. I didn't shake. Something colder than anger settled in my chest, something that hardened quietly, like ice forming under skin. I turned around, walked back to the entrance, and texted Evan that I wasn't feeling well and had to cancel. Then I left before he could see me. I sat in my car with both hands wrapped around the steering wheel, staring straight ahead, breathing like I'd just surfaced from underwater. There were a dozen ways I could have handled it. I could have stormed back inside, confronted him in front of Lauren, demanded answers. That would have been emotional. That would have been expected. But I wasn't naive, and I wasn't impulsive. I drove home, and I started planning. That night, Evan called around 8:30. His voice was concerned, soft, attentive. He asked if I was feeling better. I told him I was fine, probably something I ate. He suggested we reschedule dinner, told me to rest, told me he loved me. I said it back, and it felt like swallowing glass. After we hung up, I opened my laptop and did something I'd never done before. I stopped trusting. I went through his social media slowly, methodically. Instagram, Facebook, old tags, comments that felt harmless until you looked twice. Lauren appeared far more often than I'd realized. Photos where she was just out of frame, inside jokes hidden behind emojis, check-ins that overlapped with nights he'd told me he was busy. By 2:00 a.m., my desktop was crowded with screenshots, timestamps, patterns, proof. And when I closed my laptop, I already knew what I was going to do next. Because Evan thought my trust made me weak. And I was about to show him exactly how wrong he was. The next morning, I woke up with the strange calm that comes right after a car accident, when you're still breathing, still alive, and your body hasn't caught up to how close you came to being destroyed. At 8:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. "Good morning, babe. Feeling any better?" I stared at the screen for a long time. The version of him texting me, the sweet, attentive boyfriend, was the same man who had laughed in a private dining room and called me predictable. I typed, "I'm a little better, just tired, might take it easy today." Soft, normal, believable. And that's when it hit me. He hadn't just cheated. He'd made a sport out of underestimating me. By noon, he showed up at my apartment with iced coffee and a bag of pastries, playing the role of concerned boyfriend perfectly. He kissed my forehead. "Still pale," he murmured. "I hate that you were sick last night." I watched his face while he spoke. Steady eyes, warm voice, not a flicker of guilt. It was almost impressive, the ease with which he could live two lives at once. If I confronted him now, he'd lie, he'd deny, he'd make me feel crazy. And because I'd always chosen peace over conflict, he'd assume I'd back down. That's what men like Evan counted on. And as he moved around my kitchen like he still belonged there, I understood something else. This wasn't over. Not yet. And for the first time since I'd overheard that sentence, I didn't feel small. I felt awake. Then my phone buzzed in my hand. An unfamiliar number, no profile photo, no emojis, just words. "Linda Chen. This is Linda. I just wanted to confirm our Monday meeting. And, Rachel, I know this feels extreme, but you're doing the right thing. Clarity matters." I read the message twice, then a third time. Clarity. Not justice, not revenge, not punishment. Clarity. That was it. That was the thing I'd been craving since the moment I heard Evan laugh and call me predictable. I didn't want a screaming match or a dramatic breakup that would leave me doubting myself months later. I wanted the truth laid out so plainly that there would be nowhere left for him to hide. No gaslighting, no rewriting history, no, "you misunderstood." I wanted reality, clean, sharp, undeniable. I typed back a simple confirmation, then locked my phone and sat there in the quiet, listening to my own breathing slow. By Sunday night, I was exhausted in a way sleep couldn't fix. Not physically, emotionally. Pretending takes energy. Smiling when your chest feels hollow takes discipline. Acting normal when your entire understanding of your relationship has collapsed feels like carrying glass inside your body and hoping no one bumps into you. Evan stood in my doorway, tugging on his jacket, keys already in his hand. "I love you," he said softly, like it was habit, like it was easy. I met his eyes and forced my face into something gentle, something familiar. I gave him the version of me he expected, the accommodating one, the warm one. The woman who made his life feel stable. "I love you too," I said smoothly. The lie didn't wobble. That surprised me. He smiled, satisfied, and leaned in to kiss me goodnight. Then he left, completely confident that I would never suspect a thing. The moment the door clicked shut, my face went blank. No tears, no shaking. Just quiet. In that silence, I whispered to myself, not naive. Not ever again. Because tomorrow, the pretending would end. By the time Monday arrived, it felt like I was floating slightly outside my body, I moved through my routine on autopilot: shower, coffee, clothes, while my mind hovered somewhere above it all, watching. Everything felt muted, sounds dull, colors flat, even time behaved strangely, stretching when I needed it to hurry and rushing past when I needed space to think. At exactly 9 o'clock a.m., I sat across from Linda Chen in a small cafe 2 blocks from my office. The place smelled like roasted coffee beans and warm pastries. People chatted quietly around us, unaware that my entire life was being rearranged at a corner table near the window. Linda was calm in a way that felt earned. Mid-40s, neat hair, sharp eyes that missed nothing. She didn't waste time on sympathy or filler. "He's careful," she said, opening a thin folder, "but not careful enough." She spoke like someone who had said these words many times before. "He rotates locations, different neighborhoods, thinks that breaks patterns. It doesn't. People repeat themselves more than they realize." She slid her phone across the table. The first photo made my throat tighten instantly. Evan and Lauren walking into a boutique hotel downtown, arms close, bodies angled toward each other like magnets. Timestamp: 3 months ago. The second photo was worse. His hand in her hair, her head tilted toward him. Familiar, comfortable, not stolen, not rushed. "This isn't new," Linda said gently. "This is routine." I nodded. I didn't trust my voice. Over the next 2 weeks, Linda documented everything with surgical precision. Lunches that weren't really lunches, meetings that ended in parking garages instead of offices, late nights that traced back to the same quiet corners of the city. What shattered me wasn't the scale, it was the consistency. Evan didn't cheat impulsively. He cheated methodically. And the most brutal revelation of all? Lauren didn't know about me. She thought she was the only one. She believed I was the ex, a phase, someone he'd outgrown. I could have confronted Evan the moment Linda handed me the first undeniable photo. I could have ended it in a single breath. But the more I watched him pretend, kiss my forehead, text me sweet nothings, talk about our future, the clearer something became. Evan didn't fear losing me. He feared exposure. And that was power. The plan didn't arrive in a burst of rage. It came quietly, almost gently, like a puzzle clicking into place. I asked Evan to come over on a Saturday morning. "Can we talk?" I said casually over the phone. "About us." There was a pause, just half a second too long. "Sure," he said. "Everything okay?" "Yeah," I replied. "I just want to clear the air." He arrived at 10 a.m. Exactly, relaxed, confident, wearing the face of a man who believed he was in control. Lauren arrived at 10:07. I hadn't invited her by accident. 2 days earlier, I'd messaged her from an anonymous account. "Hey, I think we should talk about Evan. He told me you were his ex. Something doesn't add up." She responded within minutes. "He said the same thing about you." So I invited her, and I didn't warn him. When Evan opened my door and saw her standing beside me, his face drained of color so fast it was almost alarming. "What the hell is this?" he demanded. I stepped aside calmly. "Come in," I said. "We should all sit down." Lauren looked at me, confused. "Rachel?" she asked quietly. "Yes," I said. "I'm his girlfriend." Silence swallowed the room whole. Evan opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. "This isn't fair," he said finally, his voice cracking. "You can't ambush me like this." I smiled slightly. "You mean the way you ambushed me with 3 months of lies?" Lauren gasped. 3 months? I handed her the folder. Photos, dates, screenshots. "I'm sorry," I said honestly. "He told me you were history." She flipped through the pages, hands shaking. "He told me you were history," she whispered. Evan tried to step forward. "Please, let's talk privately." "No," I said calmly. "You lost the right to private conversations when you turned honesty into a joke." Tears streamed down Lauren's face. "I loved you," she said to him. "I thought we were trying again." "You were," I replied. "He was just trying everything." That's when Evan looked afraid. "What do you want from me?" he asked. "I don't want anything," I said. "I just wanted you to see that I'm not naive." I turned to Lauren. "He called me predictable." Too trusting to ever suspect anything. Her face hardened instantly. He said that? I nodded. She let out a sharp, broken laugh. He said the same thing about you to me. Evan sank onto my couch like gravity had finally caught up with him. This didn't have to be like this, he muttered. You're right, I said. You could have told the truth. I picked up my bag. We're done. Rachel, wait. There's nothing to work through, I said quietly. You didn't break my heart. You broke my respect. That doesn't heal. The fallout came in waves. Calls, messages, emails, apologies that shifted tone depending on the hour. Evan called me 47 times in the first day. I blocked him after voicemail 12, the one where he said he didn't recognize his life without me. That was the problem. He'd never recognized me while he had me. 2 weeks later, I saw him at the grocery store, smaller, tired. Don't you miss me? He asked. No, I said honestly. I miss who I thought you were, but that person never existed. That was the last time. Now the apartment is quiet in a peaceful way, no doubt, no pretending. I still trust people. Trust isn't stupidity, it's a choice. And I revoke it when it's abused. Evan thought my trust made me weak. I made sure the last thing he learned about me was exactly how wrong he was. Because I didn't lose my dignity. I reclaimed it.